everybody, and welcome to Talk to the Expert at propertygenie.co.nz. Today we have with us Rene McLean from Property in Depth, Manukau and South Auckland franchisee. Hi Rene, and welcome to the interview.
Hi Hadar, thank you.
We know, Rene, that you have something very important to tell us, which is will concern, and every property owner in Auckland should know about the Unitary plan and take action to preserve the capital or future capital of the property. Please share with us this very important information.
Sure, thanks Hadar. As you're probably aware, the Auckland Council has brought out a draft Unitary plan. So at the moment it's up for consultation. They are aiming to have things in a more firm sort of state by around the 1st of September. There'll still be the opportunity for various objections and consultation after that, but it'll be in a more formal manner. What all property investors need to have a look at is how that Unitary plan is going to affect their property, and there will be some winners and some losers out of changes in the Unitary plan. At the moment, I don't claim to be a complete expert on the whole of the Unitary plan, because it's quite a complex sort of document, and it's going to be a changing document, but I think what I want to do is give you an overview of the valuation basics, in that you need to be looking at how your value is going to be affected once the plan comes into effect. What you need to do is have a look at the maps of the Unitary plan, so go onto the Auckland City website and you'll be able to see where your property fits into the scheme. As a general overview, there's three main zonings that they're going to have for the residential side of things. The first is called a single lot housing zone. Although it says single lot, you can still subdivide if you have a net site area of 500 square metres or greater. So what I mean by net site area, that's excluding the driveway. The important thing to remember is that if you're in Manukau City and have a quarter acre section, which is 1,012 square metres, at the moment you are more than likely able to subdivide that into 3 lots. If your zoning then becomes this single housing zone, you will then only be able to have one unit, because even if you can get your 500 square metres, you would have no room for a driveway. So, and there's quite a lot of the area. It's probably about a third of Auckland fits into this area, and generally it's localities that are some distance from transport routes and local town centres. So quite possibly, if they're a kilometre or more away from them, you may well be in that sort of zoning. What that means is that you need to hurry up and get a resource consent in if you're thinking about subdividing, because otherwise it could be too late. To get a resource consent in, you're probably looking at somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 to do the work with a surveyor and various other consultants. They are going to be becoming very, very busy in the next few months, so you need to be getting in line if you wanted to get something through. Once you've got a resource consent, you've got up to 5 years to do something with it. So it doesn't mean you have to come up with $75,000 to $100,000 to actually do the subdivision or building, but it does mean that once you've got it in place, you could have a premium value on your property if all the other properties around you are no longer able to be subdivided. The second main zone is called a mixed housing zone, and a general overview of that is that you can subdivide down to 1 per 300 square metres plus a driveway, and you're allowed up to a 50% site coverage. It's quite a common zoning, and again it's probably, I would say, around half the city I think is zoned where in that mixed housing, where it's a reasonable sort of distance from transport routes and town centres. Again, you need to see if perhaps you're on the winning side of things, because there's a lot of areas, for example, the existing areas of residential 5 are 1 per 500, and quite a few of those are going down into this mixed housing zone, so it may be that you're able to subdivide. you don't need to necessarily go ahead and get anything done immediately like the other zoning where you could miss out. But it's just good to know that your property could be going up in value. Be aware of that value, particularly if you're thinking about selling, but you may well be wanting to hold on to a property that's having an improvement in zoning. The third main residential zoning is terraced housing and terraced and apartment housing, they're calling it. And that's a little bit trickier to get your head around. There's a lot of various rules and regulations, but what the council's trying to do is to encourage terraced and apartment housing, generally between 4 and 8 levels. And these are areas that are close to town centres, close to transport routes, but they may be in suburban localities such as Papakura or Otahu and the like. Now there is a lot of protest from various local residents, particularly in areas like Papakura, where they're not wanting to see things like 4 to 8 level apartments, and it may well be that the plan is watered down or altered when it actually comes into effect. It is harder getting your head around the actual criteria and what you can do with your property, because they're generally wanting larger lots to be subdivided and then, or perhaps unit titled into apartments, so that you've got a multi-level type of arrangement with some land around it. But if you've got a smaller lot, it may not necessarily mean that you can do much with it unless it's amalgamated with another lot. So what I mean by a smaller lot, they're generally looking at making 1,200 square metre lots available to be subdivided, with the hope that there'll be more intensive use on those. So that's a bit of an overview. I would recommend talking to a surveyor if you're looking at doing any sort of subdivision work, and they can give you some more detailed and site-specific information about that. But the thing I want to impress on you is that make sure you know where your property fits into the scheme of things, and if potentially you're going to be losing value because your property can't be subdivided, you need to look at doing something about it now.
Great. Thanks, Rene. Thanks for sharing this crucial and important information. So yes, please remember that even if you are not planning to sell the property today, it may be worth investing $10,000 now to get it all resource consent on paper, so you can retain and preserve the future value of the property and have a good upside there in case you want to sell within the 5 years. Thanks, Rene, expert contributor to our usually to our website, Auckland franchisee, South Auckland and Manukau. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Hada.